And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. I'm Spitz. He's John. WrestleMania 42 Masoni. You know,
Yep.
of all the nicknames you've given yourself, that one shocks the heck out of me.
Well, I've been a wrestling fan since I was about 5 years old. Um, I I'll tell you my first memory of watching wrestling. I was living in New York. I was a kid, and Dusty Rhodes was
American
fighting.
Dream.
I want to say he was fighting Harley Race, and it was a Texas bull rope match where they have a cowbell on it. And, I'm watching them thinking it's whatever. And he hit Rhodes in the head with the cowbell. Rhodes went outside the ring and came up full of blood, face full of blood. And I was stunned, to say the least. But then hooked on the sort of the drama and the storytelling and whatnot of what it is. And actually I appreciate the sense of humor that comes with it as well. But sometimes they're just smart enough or crafty enough to be self-deprecating, and it's funny, and there can be times like that. So there's a lot of gamuts that you get into at wrestling. It's I should say it all the time. It's male soap opera. That's all it is. It's a soap opera. What's the story?
There's been a lot of female injected too there, John.
Yeah. I mean, but you see, you're always seeing some form of storytelling that I think can be when the tide sways back and forth amongst the different organizations. It's just about storytelling, and if you can't tell a good story, then people are going to move on, because we all know that there's a sort of a foregone conclusion with what happens in the matches.
No.
And so it's about the story that's being told that really keeps you hooked on coming back next week. That's kind of how it works.
I don't even know where it was this year. Was it in Detroit?
Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Back-to-back Vegas.
Imagine that. Vegas, baby. All right.
Well,
I was shocked. Go ahead.
Oh, so they figured out that Vegas is a great spot for it because they can do 2 nights. People fly in from all over the place. 106,000 total fans in the stands for the 2 days. It's a money printing scenario for them. And WrestleMania is the top notch pay-per-view of the year. And it's just I don't know if Vegas is going to be forever spot, but I think it'll be a very, very, just like Miami, Tampa, New Orleans is in the Super Bowls. I think they'll get more than their fair share of WrestleMania events.
Actually, they're getting their more fair share of Super Bowls in Vegas now.
Yeah. Again, why? I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
That's why it's like the perfect fit. Everybody's known it for years. Just a matter of being able to commit to the idea that you may have to be careful with what the gamblers are doing and saying. So
exactly. All right. 941 Sports Zone brought to you as always by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned, nationally backed. They deliver exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. Hurricane season is 5+ weeks away. 941-251-4257 is the number. If you had some damage a couple of years ago, get it taken care of. 941-251-4257. Well, this is the 941 Sports Zone, and the 941 baseball playoffs are underway. Congratulations to the Venice Indians, who ran their record of 26-1, just blew through the district. They won the district semifinal over Northport 16-1 and followed it up with a 12-0 win over Sarasota in the district championship. A lot of publications still have them number 1. It's interesting. Max Preps has them down to number 3 nationally, which, whatever. Then national things are totally more subjective than anything, because you're going to tell me they've been watching the games of everybody. I highly doubt it. But nonetheless, Venice has put themselves in tremendous position. They we record this Monday afternoon, a little after 3, about an hour ago. They had I almost called it the post position draw. But do I have Derby on my mind? They had the draw for the matchups for the district. Venice is obviously the number 1 seed. in their region. They're in Region 2 of Class 7A. Familiar foe, especially for those who do football, as they'll be hosting Sumner of Riverview in a one-game playoff. The quarterfinals are one game. The regional semifinals and finals are best of 3. So that'll be taking place later this week as Sumner will come down to take on Venice. Sarasota, who was boat raced by Venice the last 2 times they played, is the number 2 seed in the region. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They will host number 7 Plant City on their end of the bracket. Obviously, if Sarasota comes through their end and Venice comes through their end, it'll be another rematch, this time best of 3. And it'll be at Venice, since Venice is the top seed. No surprise here, John.
No, not at all. And we were talking before we got started today about the one game for the quarterfinals and then the 3 games. And you would think that if there's an advantage for the Indians, it'll be, or any team for that matter, that's the higher seed, is that you get to play 2 out of 3, and you have a better chance to roll out a more. If your lineup is stocked, you get a better chance to kind of not get upset in a 1-game scenario. However, that quarterfinal game, there's a lot on the line right there. You just don't want to see your worst game in that situation. But right now it looks like Venice's worst game is everybody else's best game. So I don't know if that's if it's a fair fight at this point. We'll see how that goes.
I mentioned, I think they beat Northport 16-1, and then Sarasota 12-0. Other local teams are also in the regionals. Lemon Bay beat Port Charlotte in the district semifinals last week, 6-0, a 2-hit shutout thrown by Lemon Bay. Then they played a humdinger of a game at Island Coast. 4 lead changes. Island Coast scored in the bottom of the 7th to win 5-4. So Island Coast continues their stout season. They're out 21-2. Lemon Bay did get a regional bid, albeit they are the 8th seed and they have to face none other than Tampa Jesuit.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
In every sport, they're really good, but baseball, they really are really good.
Right.
One game, throw your best pitcher and hope for the best. And Port Charlotte, the team they beat, ended up being the 6th seed in the region, and they will be at 3rd seed Osceola. Thought that was kind of interesting the way the seeding went, but Port Charlotte had a little better season, even though Lemon Bay did win in the district semifinals. So a couple of teams represented in our area there in Class 4A, Region 3.
Yeah, and I think you watch. I don't mind seeing that sort of play out the way it did. If Port Charlotte had the better year, so to speak, you know what I mean? And I'm sure that Lemon Bay got kudos for beating Port Charlotte and got that 8th seed. I don't mind it being seeded that properly, because I think that does lend itself to a more fair outcome, especially if you've had the better year, with a seeding situation. Now, Lemon Bay could be playing fantastic right now, and being an 8th seed, they may not even care at this point. But again, Jesuit's going to be a tough matchup for anybody. But again, they're in the game. They got a chance at it. I'd rather, if I was Lemon Bay, that scenario I said about playing out earlier, I'd rather go through 1 game against Jesuit than 3. Yes. Because you might catch lightning in a bottle, and there you go.
Charlotte is the number 1 seed in their region, Class 5A, Region 3, even though they lost in the district final, the Mariner 8-3. That was a 3-team district. So basically, they only had to play 1 game, and they ended up losing. Yet they're still the 1 seed, and they will host 8th seed Naples Gulf Coast in their quarterfinal before they get to the best of 3. So again, the 9-4-1, very well represented, John. And it doesn't matter the sport. It just seems like we've always got excellent representation.
We had a conversation yesterday on the golf course. We were talking about the quality of athletics, high school athletics in this area, and then of course in the state of Florida as well. A friend of mine from out of town, we just talking about what it's all about. He's like, man, I got to go see some of this stuff, because I want to see what a number 1 high school baseball team looks like. And it's because I can't fathom it, in some ways, because, when you're talking about the entirety of the United States and you're the one or the two or the number three, whatever it is, boy, you'd like to get a glimpse of what that's all about.
Sure. And well, little small ball, that's for darn sure. Craig Faulkner and small ball appears to be back in baseball and Major League Baseball. And of course, it's always been for Coach Faulkner. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago on the program. So again, we'll follow the baseball playoffs throughout. The championships are in the middle of May, so we still got a ways to go because we're only in the middle of April. So still a while to go before we determine who the champions are. And good luck to all the teams representing the 941 coming up in the playoffs. Again, the 941 Sports Zone presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. 941-251-4257 is the number. They deliver that exceptional roofing service for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. They're loaned locally, but they have national backing. Where'd my tongue go? 941-251-4257 is the number. NFL drafts coming up this week, John. We got the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and yet, I did the rundown and I just copied and pasted or cut and pasted the NFL because it's what sells, and the NFL draft is on its way, and it looks like it's going to be an active draft. I normally don't really watch a lot of it because, one, I usually have to get up for work the next morning, and no exception this week or this year, but it appears this could be one of the most active drafts coming, and we've already had some issues. The Giants, I shouldn't say issues, but trades. The Giants were having issues trying to get defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence locked up. He wanted a redo on his contract. All the years that were guaranteed were done, and the Giants said, they came to an impasse. Lawrence then asked for a trade, and I'm actually kind of surprised that the Giants obliged here. But they did get themselves in great position for the draft. They traded Lawrence to the Bengals, who have made a lot of moves on defense. And from what I'm hearing, that's courtesy of their brand new head coach, Joe Burrow. But Lawrence to the Bengals. So they lose Trey Hendrickson, but they picked up quite a bit in the offseason. And now the Giants have 2 top 10 picks in this upcoming draft, number 5 and number 10. I think both teams win on this one. What do you think?
I do too, and I heard a little stat this afternoon, or this morning, I should say, where this is the first time in a long time that anybody's outside of a quarterback has been traded for and got a top 10 pick in return, a non quarterback. So it was so the Giants did well as far as what they got for Lawrence, and the Bengals get themselves a solid defensive tackle. I'm not sure if he's all pro, but Pro Bowl caliber guy. Thing is, Rich, I'm going to tell you, so you made a very interesting comment about Joe Burrow right there. Hope people didn't miss on that. Joe Burrow, I mean, honestly, because we talked about this during the year. I had the feeling that Joe Burrow was out the door. I've been sort of saying, and I even said, hey, if I'm the Jets, why don't you try to throw a draft pick at the Bengals and try to go get Joe Burrow? And everybody's like, well, no. Well, this is what it kind of comes down to. I think Joe Burrow has basically said, hey, this is we can't keep the band together, so to speak, forever. What are we doing? I don't know if Dexter Lawrence makes that big of an impact on what the Bengals are trying to do. I know he's a good player, but again, it's hey, that makes you solid against the run. I don't quite know how he's going to fit in that scenario. If they really wanted to make a big deal, they would have re-signed Trey Hendrickson. You know what I mean? I think that would have been the route to go. Now you're going to get a D tackle at a lot of money. And maybe that wasn't the splash guy. Maybe keeping your guy was the splash guy. I don't know. But the point is Joe Burrow definitely has a lot of influence in this situation right now. Yep. And I could see him being a guy who this year doesn't work out, or they have a sort of fair to below average result, that he packs his bags and heads somewhere. And who knows, because it'll put him in a very interesting scenario. If he comes out there and wants to get traded, he'll be getting traded in what's potentially going to be the most talented quarterback draft haul in a long time. So it'll be an interesting scenario for next year. But as of this year is concerned, yeah, I think that interesting how I think both teams can actually say they won this deal, and in that case, it usually means it was a tie.
Yeah, John Harbaugh wanted nothing to do with this contract situation, so I'm sure he had something to do with the fact that they were going to move him. The Bengals need help on defense. That's the one thing that holds them back. Now, offensively, they've got weapons galore. They score points galore. Whether it's Burrow, whether it's Flacco, whoever's at quarterback. So, obviously the Bengals making the move here. Dexter Lawrence, seen some video on him. For a defensive tackle, he has a major impact. He is constantly double teamed and beats those double teams a lot. He does help against the run. The Bengals were bottom 5% against the run in the NFL, so they definitely needed the help there. So it is, the deal is done. The Giants are one of several teams. This is a very interesting draft from this perspective, John. By the way, Lawrence did sign a 1-year, $28 million extension, so he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
All right. But here are the teams, and there's several teams that have multiple picks in the first round. We mentioned the Giants at 5-10. Your Jets are at 2-16, and a lot of people think that the draft begins with the Jets at number 2. What are they going to do? Dallas is 12-20, and there's all kinds of rumors that Jer wants to package those two picks and move up.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out. You got to have 2 to tango. Cleveland sitting at 6-24 with the Jags pick at 24, and of course the Browns need all kinds of help with a brand new head coach. Kansas City, who ended up 6-11 last year. Mahomes gets hurt. They close. I mean, they were atrocious at the end of the year. They're at 9-29, and they've already got their running back. So They could definitely move up on the fly. Miami is at 11-30. They've got 2 picks, and they need picks. That organization is basically in start over mode. So they're all those teams. I count 6, John, have 2 picks. Conversely, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Green Bay, Jacksonville, at Denver all don't have a pick in the first round, at least as of now.
Right.
But the rumors have it this could be the first round with the most action as far as trade goes, maybe in the history of the NFL. Because there are a couple of GMs that have come out and said their phone hasn't stopped ringing in the last 2 weeks, and it'll probably ring right up until they get up to where they might make their pick. A lot of teams looking to do some serious moving.
Yeah, and I'll say this to you, Rich. To me, there's one quarterback in the first round. That's it. It's Mendoza, Ty Simpson. They're just looking for reasons to have a second quarterback in the first round. It's a bad move if anybody wants to. If anybody runs up and gets him anywhere other than maybe the bottom of the first, maybe the 25 down, maybe if you think it's worth it to you to get that guy. But at that point, if you're drafting that low in the first round, you've got a quarterback already, more than likely. So why would you want to take that situation and do that? Now, I will say this to you strategically. When you have these 2 first-round picks, I thought something was very wise. Somebody had said earlier on one of the national shows and said, don't try to do something silly with the second first-round pick. Okay, Don't take a reach. Don't go. So you fell in love with somebody at the combine. Don't do it, because that draft pick is very valuable. If you're so inclined that you want to take a reach, then trade out of the pick and go down. And people say, well, you got to get something for it. If I have to go down, 2 or 3 spots more than one time, if somebody's really inclined, I could pick up a 3 and a 4 and a 5. You can pick up guys down the road, but don't waste the pick on a hunch. I think it's a bad idea. I also look at the Giants and the Jets. And who was at the number 6? Was it Cleveland? You said it had the
Cleveland 6-24. Yes,
those teams can get more draft capital if they trade down from those spots. Now I'll use the Jets as an example. So they're looking to draft, if based on what I've heard, Avril Reese is the guy that they see out of Ohio State.
Yes.
He's sort of, they got him as a linebacker, but he's a rush in kind of all athlete kind of guy. I don't know, Rich, if you couldn't trade out of that guy and get a pass rusher just as good as him. You got Bailey from Texas Tech. You got the two kids from Miami. I think you've got 5 or 6 guys that are edge rusher kind of guys that may fit the bill as much as Reese does. They've graded out well. They're in the top 10 overall. I don't know if somebody doesn't offer you to move up to get the running back Love at a Notre Dame. If they don't come up, somebody say, hey, maybe I want to get up there for that guy because he's a generational running back. He can be the next Bijan Robinson or the next Christian McCaffrey. They've got all kinds of things that people are saying how good he is. And actually, you don't get a lot of running backs that are surefire kind of guys. Maybe if somebody comes up for that pick and you go down a little bit. I think that's what you're going to see, a shifting and a moving, getting some things. I think in this kind of a draft, because you don't have, I have to get this guy, I have to get that guy, that you can shift it around. And if somebody's falling in love with them from the bottom to come up, man, it might be worth a couple extra draft picks to go ahead and do that. And that's where the interest will come in.
It's interesting. Arizona, it's not known as a very cogent, sage organization, right, if you will. And yet they've got it out there that it looks like they want to draft Love at number 3, which to me, that seems awfully high. But I also think they're putting it out there for those that maybe want Love, that, hey, let's trade. I think it's a smokescreen more than anything else. What do you think?
100%. 100%. They have way too much going on right now to be looking at running back.
Starting with who's the quarterback?
Right. Again, so you don't know at this point. So looking at it, I think that is definitely putting it out there to say, who wants them? We're willing to move out of 3, but if you don't, we're going to take them, and then we'll be happy to have a Pro Bowl 20 carry 5-6 catch guy coming out of our backfield to help whatever quarterback there may be, behind center for them. So it could be, but a lot of that stuff's going to come around. They love, man, these guys are just dialing up Adam Schefter and all the pundits that are the guys that are in the know with the GMs and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. I will tell you this, that there's going to be a lot of, when they do the grades, of everybody's draft, there's going to be a lot of disparity in what people think about some of these drafts, because I think there's going to be some moving around, and the judgment's not going to be just about who you got, but what you got to move and all those kind of things. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Dallas, to me, is a big time candidate maybe to move up to get Love. And they may use one or both of their picks to do it. They haven't had a running back in quite some time. They finally had a decent one, and they let him go to Tennessee. So I think Jarrell wants to give Dak Prescott some help there.
And you're right. And the thing about it with Dallas, if you watch how not to handle the draft picks, Dallas is the one to watch, or one of the ones to watch. There's a lot of them. And, they last year's Micah Parsons deal.
Yes.
What they got the picks, then they shifted it around, and then this and that, and the Jets ended up trading Quinnen Williams to them and whatever. When it all was said and done, they lost Micah Parsons, right? Mm-hmm. And they got the other Green Bay
defensive tackle,
defensive end. So they basically traded Micah Parsons for that guy in the long run. They got the picks they got. They gave to the Jets for Quinnen Williams, and they've kind of moved around. That's what I say about being foolish with your picks. Okay, you got to look at it and say, everything's got value. Everything has value in that first round. And if you're going to make a move, boy, if I'm losing a first round draft pick, I better be getting a starter, all pro guy from somebody else's team, or getting some draft capital either for later in the draft this year or for something next year, because there's too much to out there at 6 or not 6. What are they at? Not
Arizona?
9? No, Dallas.
Dallas is at 12-20.
12-20. There's plenty out there. You can get a
Yep.
lot of players at 12-20. And if you're going to be foolish and try to move up, you better be right. You better be getting the right guy.
Kansas City's interesting to me because at 9-29, they have offensive line issues, and they could, picking correctly again, and that's the big key here, picking correctly. They could solve their offensive line issues because Patrick Mahomes was running for his life most of last year, and really the last, even all the way back to the Super Bowl where the Bucks beat them, and they beat up their offensive line like that. It's been a while since Kansas City's had a true, really good offensive line, and now they have a chance to really make it happen.
I look at Kansas City and I say, this is when how a smart team retooled its team on the fly, so to speak. Okay, and could be right back in the thick of things next year when they look like they were the bottom dwellers, or at least the third best team in that division, behind with a little ahead of the Raiders. So I think it's really interesting how it plays out. And some of these coaches, like the guys that have been around a while, the Andy Reids and the Belichick's when he was there and whatnot, the Harbaughs, they always have solid lines. They managed to cobble it together pretty quick. The Chiefs have struggled a little bit, and I think this is where Andy Reid can kind of to get some guys and put them in the right spots. And next thing you're looking at, you're like, Kansas City's on it. What do you know? They're 6-1 or they're 7-2 or whatever, and they're in the lead in division, and boy, they're looking solid again.
Exactly. Florida teams, again, I mentioned Miami's 11-30, and they just need people. They just need bodies. They're in a complete redo. They got Malik Willis at quarterback. I think he's a stopgap 2 or 3 years. The Green Bay South, as they're going to be probably called for a while with the new coach and GM. I just think they're going to have to totally remake the roster. The Bucks sit at 15. What a meh type of pick. You're not in the top. You're not at the bottom. You are literally right in the middle. And, the Bucks need help on defense. They've had some retirements. They've moved some guys. So we'll have to wait and see with them. And Jacksonville, we mentioned it earlier, they traded their pick to Cleveland. So they're looking for maybe round 2, or some of the rumblings out of Jacksonville is they may be one of the teams looking to move back up into the first round.
It's possible. I'm going to go back to Miami real quick, Rich.
Yep.
Who is the Dolphins' best player right now?
That's a great question because they just traded away Waddle. So
I don't know.
No, I don't either.
And I can't even tell you like who is a good player, not just their best player, but a good player. They got rid of everybody. Okay, they made a wholesale changes. I get it. Maybe Malik Willis is their best guy. He's
right, exactly.
Yep. So there you go. So Miami's in a total rebuild at this point. I don't know how that's going to work for them in the short term. Obviously, if they're really rebuilding, are they really worried about their record at this point? Or are they trying to put pieces together?
No, they're just trying to put pieces together. Again, being negative. To try to. They just need bodies. They've traded away everybody of any value, so now they just need bodies. They just need to survive the next year or two. They obviously have got to get out of under Tua's almost $100 million dead cap hit, and they got another dead cap hit with Waddle. They have like over $130 million in dead cap alone this year.
That's when you overpay mediocre talent, and I'm not trying to. That's not an indictment, but you're looking at Tua and you're saying, well, we have to have a quarterback, so we got to pay him all this money. And what is he, the 22nd best quarterback in the league? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, getting, Hill gets hurt, Waddle gets jettisoned. Phillips, the defensive end, he gets traded up to Philly, and during the season, just guy after guy after guy doesn't make any sense. So all these players. If you were talking a year ago, you'd say that's their best team. The players, they can't get rid of those guys, and they're all gone. Yeah. And so that's a big issue. But I think the one controversial thing I'm going to say to you right now is I really look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think this is going to be a watershed year, but negatively. I am every day that goes by, I'm less and less of a Todd Bowles fan. The fan base is moving that way as well, more and more. I don't know at 15. This is where Todd Bowles puts you at 15. You know what I'm saying? Baker's good. I like Baker, the receiving core. Are they as good as we thought they were maybe last year? You know, Mike Evans is gone now. There's been some injury issues here and there. I thought that the defense in particular has sort of underachieved. Some of the guys that they touted on the defensive line that I don't think really have shown up for them. And, of course, you lose Levante David, and you lost who was the corner that they lost? Jamel Dean. Did they lose Dean?
Jamel Dean, yep, Dean.
So it's like
Evans,
there's a lot of spots to fill in, and you're at 15, you know, and so what are you going to get at 15? You know, I always say it's always the guy at 15 is like, it's the
best player available.
Standout defensive tackle from Oklahoma State, or it's the stand-up. It's the guy, you know, it's the guy who's like, hey, he was all big. He was second team all Big 12 out of Kansas, and he's the guy we like, you know, and he could be a great guy, but sometimes it's like, that's what you get at 15. You want to get at 15. You're looking at who's our favorite guy on the board. Is that necessarily, and is the board more about need, or is it just that, you know, you're trying to get the best guy, the best athlete, the best available? Who knows? But at 15, it's always a hard choice. You can argue either way at 15. So they're in that spot, and I think they're in a downward. I wouldn't call it a spiral. I think they're heading south of mediocre quickly. And now, does Baker have the chops to make him better? Yeah. But I don't know if Todd Bowles does, and that's a big part. Baker's only one guy, and right. Todd Bowles is in charge of the whole team, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. One other rumor that was kind of floated on Monday as we recorded this, it sounds like, and this is not Diana Rossini reporting, but it was actually Adam Schefter who kind of broke this. Looks like Philly and A.J. Brown are headed for a divorce. And it sounds like New England is hot after him. They're going to wait until June 1st. Again, that's one of those key dates. The cap hit is less. But this surprises me. There are very few true number one receivers in the NFL. A.J. Brown's one of them. And he is not happy in Philly. And apparently they're not happy with him. And they're going to get rid of him. And this surprises me. If this happens, I'll be stunned. I got to be honest.
So I'm gonna use a quick analogy. If you were, let's not call it. Let's put high school football. Let's go. So in our area, you got some state championship semifinal kind of teams. You got Cardinal Mooney, Venice, Booker. You had I'm missing a few now. Port Charlotte. I'm missing one other one, but anyway, let's say you were all playing for the same championship. Okay, the championship of this area. Would you trade your best player or one of your best players to the guy competing at your level for a championship? Why would Philly deal with New England? That's a team you could face in a Super Bowl, right? Yeah. Or why would you make a good team, a on the rise team, freaking better? If A.J. Brown wants out, I'm shipping him to Arizona. You know what I mean? If he wants out that bad, then either I'll trade you, but you're not going to New England, buddy. You're not going to go make an AFC Championship game participant better, way better. It's stupid. Why would you do that? Send him to Cleveland. They're on the up, right? Let's send him there. You know, you're not going to send them to make a team that was already there better. I don't get that, but I do understand that there are parting of ways, and if they can be amicable about it, but don't make a good team great by putting your best player on a great team. And I don't understand that one bit. And I know it's not in the same conference, but still, why would you do that? I don't know. Maybe New England's going to. What can they offer him on June 1st? That's going to be something draft picks.
Well, again, it's less of a cap hit. Also, if you remember when Tennessee traded AJ Brown, who was their coach?
Mike Vrabel.
Correct.
Right.
Mike Vrabel wants him back. He was crestfallen. That basically ended their relationship, meaning Vrabel and Tennessee's relationship. When they turned around and traded him, he looked like he had just lost his son in that press conference, and now he has the opportunity to get him back. So they're gonna make a big time move for him.
If you're that much in love with AJ Brown, you must be going to give me a lot of draft capital or some players, because hey, at this point I got the hostage. You want to pay the ransom? Then let's go for it. If you're going to be that much in love with a player, don't just do it because it's a headache. I mean, don't walk away from that and be like, oh, I'm just tired of his crap. No, you better damn sure a win for Philly to go to New England is you get 2 or 3 draft picks, not one, or a cap. You're saving on a cap hit. Forget it. I am not going to give that up to make those two be happy together.
Yeah, but if you're New England, you know that they're disgruntled, and you know that certainly discounts the price.
Rich, and all negotiation. How bad do you want this, right? And you're going to sit across the table. Are you going to blink first? The guys that win championships don't blink first.
And that's usually Howie Roseman. That's why I'm stunned by this news. Really?
There must be more to it. And again, is this a situation where Sirianni is saying, I can't work with this guy anymore? Because if that's the case,
part of it. Yep.
Well, he needs to grow the hell up then too, because I get it, but you better, how many guys like that made life miserable for somebody and they got their way of doing it. I just wouldn't do it in a situation like that. I just couldn't. I make you happy somewhere else. I'm not going to make you happy to make that team that much better.
So keep in mind, we record this on Monday afternoon. By the time we get to the draft, there could have already been some trades.
Yeah.
And again, the folks in Pittsburgh, it's going to be a revolving door from everything that's being reported. There's going to be a lot of trade. This could be one of the most exciting first rounds of the NFL draft, maybe ever. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. And again, look, we're in the middle of the NHL and NBA playoffs, and who steals the thunder? The NFL.
NFL.
Yep.
Yeah, they've set it up. They know what they're doing, and we just got through college spring ball just is ending up right now, and we got high school spring football as we speak.
That's correct. All right, 941 Sports Zone, episode number 35, presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. 941-251-4257. Again, 941-251-4257. Get that roof checked out. Get it taken care of before hurricane season on June 1st. All right, the NHL playoffs, they have delivered so far. It just seems like the first round is insane. Part of the reason is because mostly division matchups, mostly rivalries. No different in the Lightning series against Montreal. Montreal had success against them in the regular season, and it continued on Sunday in Tampa as the Canadiens win 4-3 in overtime. Juraj Slafkovsky had a hat trick, including a power play goal in overtime. A bad goal. If you're Andre Vasilevsky, you've got to make that save. And I was stunned. They showed the replay 3 or 4 times. Glove side, wide side of the net. I mean, that's, listen, the guy had a hat trick. He's a sharpshooter. There's no question about it. But that save's got to be made, especially by a 2-time winning Stanley Cup goaltender.
When the Lightning look bad, it's almost like they play. A complacent is not probably the proper word. They play disinterested.
Oh.
It's like they get a little lazy with things. Hey, you know what? I don't want to take the shot. That's where the extra pass comes in. People always bitch about taking stupid penalties in the offensive end which
Four offensive zone penalty. John Cooper undressed his team in the post game presser because of that. Go ahead.
And 3 power play goals, and that's and in one in overtime to seal the deal. They handed that game to Montreal, handed it to them, and this is what happens. Now, what's going to happen is I can almost. It should be my lock of the week, but it's not. But Montreal is going to come out, and the Lightning are going to be all up in their business game 2. It's going to be a whole different Lightning team, at least based on past history. You're not going to if you don't win game 2 and you go down 2-0, boy, you got to
especially
win
at home.
4 out of 5. That's a tough road to toe. And you start looking at round and saying, what have we done the last 2 years? We've been out in the first round the last 2 years. So this is a must-win situation. It's an attitude turnaround that's got to happen. Look, you saw over the weekend, Ottawa and Carolina, 3 seconds into the game, and there's a fist fight, right? And that's all about starting getting the culture right, getting the tempo you want to have. It's all about that. It wasn't those 2 guys hate each other. It's because they wanted to show, hey, let's get this thing started when both teams are going to be fired up, and that's what you do. And I think that's what the Lightning needed. Not that they should get into a fight, but they should do something in order to get them sparked early.
Well, even though they got out shot, I thought Montreal was the more aggressive team. I thought at times they were the more physical team, and I think that's part of the reason why the Lightning took some bad penalties in the offensive zone. And I think, this is not the first time this happened. This happened in a couple of the Cup years. I always, everybody was talking about coming down the stretch. Lightning, are they going to win the division? Are they going to be the number 2 team in the division? And the 2 teams ended up tied. Lightning won the tiebreaker based on regulation wins. I am of the thought, especially in hockey, not basketball, not other sports, but in hockey, I want to start on the road. I want to establish my game on the road in their building, and the Lightning have a history of doing that. Conversely, when they play at home in game 1, a lot of times the result we got on Sunday is the result we usually get.
Well, it's complacency. We're home. Yep. Look how well we've done this year, blah, blah, blah. And you get a shitty a performance. It's rough. By the way, I also heard a quick little line about Kucherov. 1 goal in the last 10 games, if I'm not mistaken. In the playoffs. That's got to change. That's got to change a lot. 2 assists on yesterday, and he's got to be. Your best player's got to be your best player in the playoffs. I don't care what league it is. If it's NHL, if it's Major League Baseball. Your best player's got to be there, and especially because winning a championship is legend building. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You can be a guy who goes out there and 500 goals, this and that, whatever it may be. But when you're that guy and you're winning playoff games and you are that's what separates you from you're now upper echelon guy. He's very close to being there with the 2 cups, but great players don't sort of falter, so to speak. I mean, I'm not. This is a major reach here, but like when Gretzky played, no matter where he played, they got better right away. Messier back in the day, he leaves the Oilers and he goes to the Rangers, which were so that was back in the day. They used to put the
50 years since Cup. Yep.
Yeah, 1940s. That was a sign they used to carry around forever. And Messier was the guy who willed them to win. Mm-hmm. Game-winning goals against New Jersey, and I want to say it was Vancouver as well in that cup, and so you've got to be that guy, and I think Kucherov's got that in him. He just got to turn it on right away. He just can't kind of cruise into the playoffs.
Well, it'll be a very interesting game 2 on Tuesday night at Benchmark International Arena. Some other really interesting results. Buffalo in the playoffs for the first time in 15 years, and they go the first 54 plus minutes without scoring. They were down 2-0. It looked like Boston was going to cruise to victory, and then 4 goals in a flash, and Buffalo wins 4-3 to take game one, to me, that's an opportunity lost by the Bruins. And if they don't get it together in game two, that could be a very short series.
I agree. Buffalo looks like a very, very dangerous, streaky team where they kind of turn it on when they need to. I know this sounds crazy, but it almost feels like to me, the Lightning had a run, the Panthers had a run. Is Buffalo the next team that can go on a run?
Very young team. Yep.
And learning right now what to do. So we'll see how that goes.
Vegas, same thing. They were down 2-1 to Utah going into the third period. They scored 3 unanswered. Little championship pedigree there as they win 4-2. And Colorado had a struggle with the Kings, but they ended up with a 2-1 win. That could be a very short series. That could be 4, maybe 5 games. Vegas, Utah still, I think, has a chance to be, 6 games, only because Vegas was the weakest of all the division winners. And even though it's a division winner against the wild card, there isn't much separation in points.
Right.
So,
no, like I said, I told you the other day, I thought a few teams could be winners in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, I don't know. I don't know a lot about the teams in the West. He's like a little bit, but, and I did watch a good portion of some games this week when I wasn't watching WrestleMania. You can see that the teams that bring that certain energy, and again have such an advantage. And you talk about the points and the now they got the brackets they got set up and everything else they're doing with the playoffs in the NHL. Look, you don't need to fluff it up. Just go watch a game and you'll see what it takes to win. And when you see it, it's very obvious. It's very obvious. And that was my tone. I wrote it down earlier. My tone is that the teams that have come out and had the spark, the proper spark, are the teams that have taken a lead so far in the playoffs.
One of them, Philadelphia, in the Battle of Pennsylvania. I know the score was only 3-2, but Philadelphia, I thought, outplayed Pittsburgh in that game. And the Penguins are going to have to nut it up, and they play on Monday night. And I thought Philly was clearly the better team in game one. So that game could get ugly early. You could see some dropping of the gloves in the first couple of minutes. I think, and Sidney Crosby after the game made some comments to the effect of, hey guys, you want to give me a hand here? I'm Sidney Crosby and I got guys cross-checking me and doing all kinds of illegal hitting. He's trying to wake his own team up, and that's in that case.
Well, I'll say this to you. I watched the end of that game too. And I remember they flashed to the bench with about 3.5 minutes left in the game. And the Flyers bench was giddy.
Yes.
Down 2. Pittsburgh was down 2, and they were giddy. And then they started cross-checking Crosby. He slashed the guy who did it. The guy looked like, what's your problem? And they go in the box, and Crosby is chirping at him the whole time. And what happens about 30 seconds later? A goal for Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden there's 2.5 minutes left in the game, and you're only up 1, and the net's empty. What's going on, right? So that's what I'm saying about you have to have that feel and that spark the whole way through. You can't just think you're going to roll it out there. Pittsburgh had a moment of laugh. Buffalo played like crap until they got their act together. The Lightning never did. The Lightning, that's what happens sometimes. Oh, it's 3-3. We're going to score. Don't worry about it. We got boom. Oh, your goalie didn't stand on his head for what happens, that kind of thing. You got to be looking at it, and every shift means something. It's a tone. It's getting beat up. Look, listen, since I'm John WrestleMania 42, that's what Roman Reigns did to CM Punk last night. He wore him out. And he couldn't go anymore. So there you go. You see, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But that's the deal. I think that, and that's why playoff hockey is so cool, because when you watch it, you don't have to be a nuanced fan of the game. You can watch it and go, boy, I can see why that team's got the advantage right now. And you can definitely see it. When the Lightning lost, when they didn't three-peat, you saw the attrition rate on their way they skated, the way they were playing. They were just done. That was they had nothing left in the tank, and unfortunately that's not the case. That everybody should have a lot in the tank right now, and you better be put. If you're the more talented team and you're playing with spark, you're hard to beat. You're very hard to beat.
The one real big surprise to me wasn't that Minnesota beat Dallas. It's how they beat them. And Dallas could be on the brink, because if Minnesota gets another one, this could also be a very short series. Dallas's playoff history of late, I know they made several conference finals in a row, but they can't get it. Conference finals in a row, but they can't get it to the cup. And now they could be a first round exit. I thought Minnesota skated rings around them in game one.
5-1 was the score, or was it a little bit
6-1?
6-1. That's another game I caught part of, and Minnesota looked way better than Dallas. I mean, faster. Way better.
I couldn't believe how much faster they were.
Yeah,
that should be a very interesting game.
They look very good.
Only one series yet to begin, and that's Anaheim and Edmonton, and that'll be begin Monday night in Edmonton. So the Oilers trying again. They're trying to survive, and Connor McDavid's going to have to be Connor McDavid big time, because Draisaitl probably not going to play in the first round. He could play as they go longer, but they've got to find a way to somehow beat the Mighty Ducks. All right, speaking of the Mighty Ducks, we had the Mighty Dog. He's been talking all during the show. The Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida is our sponsor of the 941 Sports Zone. 941-251-4257 is the number. Get that roof taken care of. 941-251-4257. As good as the NHL playoffs were over the weekend, the NBA playoffs, not so good. 7 of the 8 home teams won. Now, that does mean the Lakers beat the Rockets. That was an upset, okay? No Austin Reeves, no Luka Doncic, and the old man was 41 years old, and he controlled that game. It's amazing to me, and I know there are LeBron haters out there. They don't, for whatever reason, politically, whatever, the guy still brings it at 41, and as well as he played, and he made the appearance, all of a sudden out of the blue, Kevin Durant's not playing. Come on.
So I'm glad you brought us up early in this segment here. So LeBron is a great basketball player, but he is a physical specimen. Okay. There were a lot of people that don't like LeBron, and similarly, the same basketball fan didn't like Wilt Chamberlain. 50 points, this and that. He makes it too easy. He's bigger than everybody, whatever. LeBron is the same guy. LeBron coming down court with the ball in his hand, he could be 71. He's 6'9". What is he, 280? Or what is he?
Chiseled. I mean, he's more chiseled now than he was 10, 15 years ago.
He's never gotten his shot has gotten a little better over time, but everything he does is going to the basket, when he's playing great, he got caught a lot of shit about when he was younger. He's dishing. He's getting everybody else involved. Who was the guy that was the leading scorer? The blonde-headed guy. I can't remember his name for the Lakers. But anyway, guy whose name I don't even know. He had 27 points in the game. LeBron had 17, but he was kicking balls back out to people. That's when he's great, and he makes anybody great when he does that.
Right.
That's what he does. So it's Durant doing what he did and LeBron doing what he did is a snapshot of their careers.
Yes.
Durant, what do you know? When it really counts, where's Kevin Durant? Oh, he's on the bench. He's hurt. He's this. He's disgruntled. He's going to do what Kevin Durant does. He's a great basketball player. Where did he win his championships?
Golden State. I said Green Bay.
So what was that Durant's team? Was he the guy? No. That was Draymond's team. That's Steph's team. We know that, right? And so he won a championship not being the guy, but being just took a pause in his world tour of the NBA and landed in Golden State and won a championship or two. So
Two.
that's the thing, and listen, he scores, he does whatever, but he's just that guy. And LeBron is just the other guy. And I'm not a LeBron fan, not for his talent. I've never gotten over how he handled his escape from Cleveland to go to Miami. That was the most. That was just ugh. Everything about it was what to me it almost set the NBA back 20 years, because everybody who watched that was like, I got duped into watching this so he can tell a bunch of kids that he's leaving town to go to Miami to go to a stacked team. Come on, that was ridiculous. However, he is a generational guy, and physically to this day, you can't match up with him. He just can't.
So the only road team to break through was the team that I had not coming through as my lock of the week, not coming through the play-in. And, I watched the Philly game. They were right there, and they folded like a cheap suit in that game. And Philly ended up winning that 7-8 game. They got another chance against Charlotte. They didn't give Charlotte a chance to breathe in that game.
Right.
And, give them credit. They put their foot on their neck and just held it there. And then Sunday against the Pistons, never trailing on the road. You're beginning to see what everybody saw at the beginning of the season, John. Everybody thought this was a top 4 team in the East.
Yep.
They underachieved, and some would think grossly so, getting, 8th seed play-in game, play the first game on the road, play the second game at home. A lot of people think Mosley, the head coach, is dead man walking, and yet here they walk into Detroit, and they beat them. And they didn't just beat them, they beat them soundly.
I told Matt Geller last week, right?
Yep.
They said we picked our top 3 teams that could possibly win. I said I did not like Detroit. Who, again, Cade Cunningham, whatever. These guys are not ready for prime time in this situation. Doesn't mean they're not going to win this series. It doesn't. But the Magic are throwing out film that guys are going to look at and say, oh, that's how we beat Detroit. We just got to do this. So it goes back to Boston and the Knicks. And what we say Cleveland potentially?
I'm not as high on Cleveland. Yeah, I guess because I'm a fan and I know James Harden's history. But go ahead.
But that's what I mean. I don't know if Detroit's, and hopefully they wake up. But I don't see it. I didn't see it during the season. Nothing caught my eye in particular about Detroit that I was like, wow, they're like OKC. They had a build, and when you saw them play, you're like, man, that's a team right there. They've got a lot of moving parts, and some guys you didn't know, like any NBA team for that matter. But Detroit to me just does not look. They look like the team that was the hot commodity during the regular season, and the playoffs are here, and they are not ready for it at this point.
Well, at least that's one game. Cade Cunningham, listen, not his fault. 39 in the loss. He played extremely well. But he needs his cast of characters around him to play much better. And they have an extra day, and this will be part of later on in the program. Let's just put it that way. But they don't play again until Wednesday, and that gives them a couple of days to get it together, because if they somehow don't win game 2, they don't win that series. I'm sorry.
No,
they're not winning, winning 4 out of 5 with 3 in Orlando. I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree. Agree.
The other series, Cleveland held Toronto at arm's length, beat them. Denver beat Minnesota. I thought that was interesting. Minnesota got off to a great start. Remember, I told you I thought Minnesota was one of, and then Denver righted the ship. And all Jokic does is what Jokic does. He's incredible.
And what I said about the Wolves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards, average game. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what he does. He can go off in a minute. I don't know. Again, I don't want to generalize things, but there's like it's like that, whatever Gen Z or whatever you are, whatever it may be. There's in some of these young players, I don't know if it's because they just so wealthy they don't know what to do with themselves, and they're just they don't have the drive. I don't know what it is, but when you're the guy, you're the guy every game, and it doesn't mean you score 40 points. It means that you are out there giving it everything, whatever it takes to win, all the time, not occasionally, not when your back's against the wall, all the time. Old school NBA. You and I go back to the 80s with the NBA, and in the 90s, all those teams that were there was a lot of good teams. They all had a guy, right? Yeah. There was a guy like that guy was going to get his points. I remember the series back in the day when Dominique was probably three or so many years into the league, and he scored like 45 points a game against the Celtics. He was a one man, and they almost beat the Celtics. They had Doc Rivers on that team. They almost beat the Celtics on Dominique's back. Okay, where is that guy? Where is that dog? As the saying is now on some of these teams, because sometimes the dog comes out and he's a Saint Bernard, and sometimes the dog comes out and he's a Chihuahua.
I knew you were going Chihuahua there.
I had to. I went big and little. But the idea is I don't know what it is. It's very frustrating when you say this guy's got to be that guy every game. That's what I like about Jalen Brunson with the Knicks. Every game, he's that guy.
And interesting, you bring him up. He wasn't exactly great in game one, and yet they still managed to win. I thought that was going to be a heck of a series. It still could be. Atlanta's got to find a way to win game two. But that was the game that Atlanta could have won. Brunson was okay. He wasn't great. And you still couldn't get the horse to the barn.
But don't you think when you play 82 games with Jalen Brunson on your team, right, that when he's not having a game, you're like, oh, and he's still giving you the effort, whatever that may be, and you're not saying, it's my turn. I got it. I mean, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm saying about these teams. It's only been one champion. I get all that, right? But, man, I watch some of these teams, and I'm like, when's the breakthrough coming? And it doesn't. Because they don't have that dog or whatever it is, and they don't have that guy to go to, and you see. I think I loved the basketball the post and pregame show with Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny
inside
Smith.
the NBA. Yep,
those three guys were all for it guys. Charles Barkley was. I mean, rebounding, 6'6" guy playing just as hard as he can. Kenny Smith played for championship teams. Shaq, for as physically imposing as Shaq was, Shaq had dog in him. He was ripping that backboard down, whatever he did. Man, and those guys, when you watch them, when they're doing their analyzing the games afterwards, sometimes they're just so like they just shake their heads like, I don't know, That's not where I grew up or how I grew up. I don't know what the hell it is.
OKC looked like OKC of last year, just destroyed Phoenix. Wemby, 35 in his first game, more than any other Spur. That includes Tim Duncan and San Antonio with a nice first game win. Some game twos on Monday. Toronto's at Cleveland, Atlanta at the Knicks, Minnesota at Denver. Can any of those road teams break through?
I mean, let's
put it this way. Who do you give the best chance?
Minnesota.
I agree.
And I just went off on them a little bit, but they still have. That's what I'm saying. It's frustrating to watch. They have that. They have the ability. Minnesota's the one, I think.
All right. Moving on to baseball. Rays lose 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh. They should have got swept. Mother Nature gets a huge assist Saturday night. I don't know if you were paying attention, John, but the Rays were facing Paul Skeens. Yeah. Cy Young.
Right.
First 4 innings, 5 Ks, gave up 3 hits. He was being his usual Paul Skeens. And then Mother Nature opened up. Over a 2-hour rain delay, you're not sending your prized guy back out there.
No.
So he's done after 4 innings, and the Rays feast on the Pirates bullpen. They end up, after being there nearly 10 hours, finally get the win in 13 innings. Cedric Mullins, Yeah, 8-7. And Cedric Mullins. I love this. This is today's baseball. A leadoff 2-run homer in the 13th because there's a guy on second base.
Yeah,
But
I know.
nonetheless, it was the game winner. 8-7, they got that one, but in between 5-1 and 6-3 losses. So the Rays are out of first place. Knew it wasn't going to last long. Yankees got well against Kansas City. The Rays are home to Cincinnati for the first of three. But the entire NL West, everybody has at least a 12-9 record, while the AL West, I should say the NL Central, my apologies, NL Central, while the AL West, nobody's above 11-11, and everybody's really struggling. So keep that in mind. A couple other things to know: the Mets. You can't win a division in April, but you certainly can lose it. An 11-game losing streak with that payroll. Carlos Mendoza is on borrowed time.
Yeah,
wouldn't be one bit surprised if we come on next Monday and we're talking about him being relieved of his duties.
And I often wonder, like with the Mets, they have this little brother mentality with the Yankees.
Yes.
And
inferiority complex.
They sort of get themselves tied up with some players that I don't know deserve it of the money, so to speak. When the last Mets championship goes back to '86, okay, that team had players, but it wasn't all superstars. It was guys that became superstars because of the way they played, you know. And you look at that team, and it was built on pitching. It was built on being gritty. It was built on teamwork and you know, guys who liked each other. And you know, it was a very explosive scenario between Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden and everything else that was going on there, right? But where have the Mets been since then? They've been trying to go out there and trying to find the next best. Again, and I'm looking at some of the guys, like the Mets are never in the run for Aaron Judge or you know, you name me five of the best players in Major League Baseball. The Mets.
Well, they did get Juan Soto. They did get Juan Soto.
Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, is Juan Soto that guy? And he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if he's like
top five,
changing the whole thing over kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And pitching wise, I don't remember the Mets having a good staff in a long time.
And they are struggling big time on the mound. And conversely, they can't hit either. So it's a total team effort. 11 in a row. They lost in extras on Sunday in Chicago at Wrigley Field. Again, one of those NL Central teams that are all off to great starts. But the Mets, definitely after a 7-4 start, 11 in a row. And you know, Atlanta's off to a good start. So
I'm going to say something about the Mets also. We get a comparison. So I turned the Dodger game on, and it was before the game started, and the lineup came out. They showed the lineup for the Dodgers. I was stunned, okay, because you know when you look at a lineup as a whole, you know the whole. I was stunned to look at it and see, because Ohtani was pitching, I was like, their lineup is really, it's good. It's really good. It's not like the Cincinnati
27
Reds.
Yankees, right? Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
Betts wasn't in the lineup, and I think the top two hitters, because they didn't have Ohtani as the hitter, they were the pitcher, and it was like Max Muncy was their best hitter. You know, I'm like, you know, it didn't look like formidable. I'm like, what's so great about this team? But that's the beauty of it. They don't have they're spending money, a lot of money, on a couple players, but they are developing guys that fill in the lineup and contribute. They're not hitting 400, 270, solid players. You know, there's a lot of things like that. So it just you want to say, like, if you say, oh, the Dodgers are a shoe-in. Anybody who's an average baseball fan, go look at the Dodgers lineup and go and see how scared it makes you look when you read the sheet. It's not. It's not that. And back again, we grew up in the 70s and with these teams, right? You had when the Royals were great, they had a way better lineup than the Dodgers do right now. You had the A's in the early 70s. That was a all-star. Everybody was an all-star, right? The Reds, the Dodgers. you go all down the line of all those teams you knew everybody's name. They're all superstars for the most part. And no, that team for the Dodgers is it's really good, but it's not laden with superstars. There's no doubt about it.
And they lost 2 straight to Colorado. Is that the sign of the apocalypse?
Yeah, it's Colorado's everybody's got to win a game or two, Rich. So against anybody at that point, but yeah, Colorado looks just as bad as they've had the last couple of years.
Yeah, and did you see the weather before the Saturday game?
Hey,
5 hours before first pitch, it's snowing like bejeebers. And somehow I was like, "There's no way they're going to play tonight." Not only did they play, but I guess it kind of warmed up a little bit.
I felt sorry for my
weird
daughter.
Chinook winds in Colorado.
Sitting home with the baby, looking out the window, and it's an April snowstorm. Like, no way.
Yeah. So. It's still very early in the baseball season. A couple other things we got to do before we get on out of here. Matthew Fitzpatrick wins the RBC Heritage. Interesting final round there. No secret that the fans there were rooting for Scotty.
Yeah.
And it was almost, how do you want to?
It's bad fan. It's a bad, yeah. You're a bad fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't expect that in golf. You expect it everywhere, other sports, but you don't expect that in golf.
Well, it's asinine. And what happened in the Ryder Cup,
mm-hmm.
everybody wants to say, oh, it's New York or whatever it may be. No, it's just being an asshole. The golfers, it's you're out there, you're playing a game, it's cerebral, it's whatever it may be. Okay. Look, it's not, are we really going to be that if it was Rory and against Scotty, would they be screaming USA? I'm sure some of them would be. And to me, though, it's sort of the ignorant golf fan. That those guys that are there that are doing that, they got their ticket that morning. Let's go out there and slam beers and do it. Listen, I go to the every year except for this year. I go to the beer slamming tournament of all time, right?
Race management.
But I've never, and I've been deaf to it. There's not a lot of USA chants, not a lot of anything else. It's about good shots, about everything else. In the game, it's not a USA versus every time out there. And so people have turned the Ryder Cup jackassery into what they want to do all the time. I didn't like it. I thought it was crappy. I don't know if Scotty said anything about it afterwards. I didn't look into it too much.
I didn't see anything.
And Fitzpatrick he embraced it. He's been going to Hilton Head with his family for like 25 years. That's their place to go to. That's his favorite place to go to. And so the idea that guy wasn't as at home there as he would be anywhere else is sort of silly. And look, you can't stop people from saying certain things. Now Scotty could have turned around and said, "Hey, come on, really?" And maybe somebody would have said something, or maybe would have said they would have thought something else of it, or maybe it would have brought out even more a jackassery. Who knows? But it was kind of sad to see. I think
you don't think of golf as rooting against someone.
That's my point.
Rooting for the guy. I mean,
it's not.
It was weird. It was weird. Speaking of weird, you and I kind of touched on this a little bit last week. I don't know if we did it on the air or afterwards. Now that I think about it, but looks like Liv will not. Basically, certainly the Saudi funding is going to go away at the end of this year. Now there is some word that maybe they have some alternative funding and they may continue, but Bryson withdraws before the final round, claiming I believe it was a shoulder injury. He did you see the one putt? He's 4 feet from the hole.
Right.
It doesn't even lip or anything. He missed it by 3 feet.
Yeah.
And he might be hurt. I mean, listen, that's very big possibility, but certainly sounds like Liv is on its final legs.
So from day one, I have been the guy who said there's nothing good about Liv. Even that they say, well, it got the purses up or whatever. I'm not even going to buy that. Okay. What it did was it was a shakedown. It was two assholes. in Phil Mickelson and Greg Norman. And I like Phil as a player, but the fact of the matter is that they both felt as though that they didn't have enough money being in their pockets because the PGA owns their name and likeness. And it was all about money. Every bit of it's been about money. Okay. And so as it turned out, everybody thought, oh, the Saudis have endless amounts of money. And so what are those sort of, those nose in the air sort of, I know, but you better golf guys got together over in the East Coast of Florida and said, hey, you know what? It's inevitable. It's coming. So let's make a deal quick. They hop on CNBC or whatever they hop onto and make some lame ass announcement. And the pros on the PGA Tour said, hell no. No way are we doing this. We hold the cards. Who are they stealing from us? Guys we don't care about. Dustin Johnson, he's in and out of rehab every 15 minutes. You got Patrick Reed. Everybody thought I was a jackass. All these different guys, right? It wasn't, and you're only gonna employ 48 guys and pay 54 holes and blast music, and then they get guys like David Faraday to try to legitimize it as announcers, and they're doing it on YouTube. How does that work? How do you have no contract? It would be like back in the day when the WFL or the USFL, they all started these leagues up and they had no TV contracts. What are you going to do? Where are you going to watch it? Who cares if you can't see it, right? And it's ridiculous. So all that being the case, this was an inevitability. Once the players realized they weren't going to let their commissioner lead them down some trap to bring back all these guys and give revenue and give rights over to the Saudis in a situation. Once they realized that, it was just a matter of time before it all collapsed. And I think that they've all known it for a long time. I think Koepka broke ranks. I think he said he knew there's money issues. They're not paying vendors, you name it. All this different stuff that's been going on, they're saying. I think Koepka saw the writing on the wall and said, I didn't like it. I haven't liked this since I've been here day one. He went there for money, and he brought his brother with him, and he got paid too. So he did a solid for his brother. That being the case, it can't end soon enough. And I'm going to tell you this right now. The big name guys, Jon Rahm has doubled down on everything he's done. And now he's doubled down again. He won't negotiate, won't go work on the DP tour to get points for his Ryder Cupness or whatever else he needs. And he's doubling down on a losing proposition at this point, Rich. And I can tell you, we can talk about this as to how bad it was in general. This, and I'll say this to you, and I'll leave it at this. This is what's killed tennis. Tennis has become a sport that in the United States is not nearly the sport it used to be because the money has been coming from elsewhere. Okay. It's not about winning. They don't show tennis tournaments on where, unless it's a major, right? Imagine golf, same spot where all you got was the majors and you didn't get to see them play or know who the players are. Who dominates the tennis ranks? Americans? No. And so you're going to take golf, internationalize it, have people playing all over the world at all hours of the night, tape delay golf that you can go find out about. Not going to happen. Right. Not going to happen. Tennis is like, what happened to tennis? It was a huge sport. We talked about it. Labor Day weekend, CBS Sports. The 1:00 game is going to be the Giants and the Eagles. And at 4:30, you're going to watch the U.S. Open semifinal.
Right.
That's what happened because they let it happen. And the powers that be, the WTA, whatever it was, they let that happen. The PGA was like, oh, yeah, this is the way it's going to be. Oh, we're off and running. And they saved those guys, Rory, Jordan Spieth, all those guys that spoke up a little bit early on and said, even Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods' legacy is going to be a lot of things. And one of them on the good side is going to be he fought Liv.
Yes, he
fought
did.
it. And so I think that's a huge deal. And it's a story that as it goes forward, there'll be more to say. I have to stop myself because all I think about is Mr. Moneyline telling me I wasn't allowed to talk about golf anymore when I was going off about 4 years ago about the same crappy bullshit about how they said, oh, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. No, it's not. Stay the course. Don't be buying any of that stuff. It was all a way to manipulate. And what did they want when it's all said and done? The Saudis wanted access to play at Augusta. That was you're going to drop a couple.
That's your end game. Yeah.
To get a membership somewhere. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I hope now that they didn't take their opportunity to go, that they all got to sit out 2 years, 2-year minimum to sit out and wait their turn to come back to the PGA.
How long before? Okay, so real quick, how long before somebody challenges this in court?
As far as where to play, about the playing conditions?
Yeah.
Let them. By the time that they get through the court system, the 2 years will be over.
That's very true.
Make it long enough.
And welcome to the USA. Yes.
Right. And so go out, go play DP, go play the Corn Ferry or whatever. That's what you're doing anyway. What if you're John Rahm and you're playing the Corn Ferry Tour? Is it any more talented the guy you're playing against? It's wearing a plaid pants and a burgundy shirt with some sort of weird signet thing on it. It doesn't make any sense. You don't even know. Oh, he's on Team Dragon. Who's that guy? Oh, he's some guy from the Asian Tour. You don't know who they are.
Yeah. All right, move to our locks of the week. Somebody took my key, opened my lock, and left it wide open. Another brutal. I actually thought I had a chance. The way Orlando folded up late, as I mentioned earlier, but they left no doubt who the better team was against Charlotte, and then they win game 1 in Detroit. So I lose again. I'm now 16-14, getting close to the Mendoza line. Means I'm starting to lose because I'm getting juiced. You, in the meantime, win again, 19-11. You have a 3-game lead, your biggest lead of the year, John.
I know, and I was watching. It was funny because when we were talking about those games, and I picked the 2 of them, I just felt like those matchups for those 2 teams were perfect for each one of them. Although they were nail biters, both of them. A block shot by Charlotte to win their game, and then Steph goes off and starts throwing stuff up from half court, basically like he usually does, and Golden State pulled away on Portland at the end.
Yeah, well, Golden State then loses the next game, and are they done now? Golden State. I mean, not just this year. I think. Is this run over with now?
I think for Steve Kerr it is. I mean,
I agree.
He's trying not to say it's over, but it is. And I think Draymond came out today and said something along the lines that it seemed pretty final. He's done. He's done. Yeah. I hope he's not, but he's done.
Yeah. All right. So got anything for a lock coming up in the next week or so?
So I'm trying to go with a theme for bugging me and with lock.
The lock.
So I'm gonna put something out there, for the draft. Okay. And this is based on unlike any other year. My lock of the week is only one quarterback will be drafted in the first round. Now I say somebody said, well, of course that's no. I'm telling you, Ty Simpson has got enough in that there's somebody who might want to jump in, but I don't think they will. Okay. So my thing is one quarterback, obviously Fernando Mendoza, is going to be the only so my lock of the week is only one quarterback in the first round, but there'll be a run of quarterbacks in the second.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think
they can't help themselves.
I think Simpson's the only second rounder, and I don't think you get another one drafted maybe till day 3. I really do.
That's possible. That's very possible.
It's not my lock, but
I heard Carson Beck had a great workout, that kind of stuff. So you never know. Somebody's got 3 4th-round picks.
Yeah, but eventually he's going to Carson Beck.
That's the truth. But you know what? There's a lot of guys that are the same way. You're like, why did we draft him? He had enough baggage going out his way. So, and so there's always somebody who thinks they're smarter than everybody else too. But I think this year they think there's a lot of talent out there, a lot of DNs, a lot of offensive linemen, guys that are worthy of first round picks. not somebody like, I think you watch it down to 30. I think, honestly, Rich, Mendoza's his own person at this point, and the 2 through 31 or 32, I should call it. I don't know. There's a lot of different guys. It's just going to be, there's going to be a lot of like, he moved up a little bit, he moved down a little bit, but they're going to be, there's a lot of good players out there that can be gotten. The first 50 picks, and if you got like the Giants, the Jets, all those different teams, boy, you better walk out with 3 starters in the first 2 rounds if you got 2 first-round picks.
All right, I'm kind of tossing back and forth amongst desperate teams, and I'm going to have to choose the one that is not a team that I root for. I think the Lightning are going to win and win handily against Montreal in Game 2, but I'm a Lightning fan, and that first rule of gambling is you don't bet on the team that you root for, because usually your vision's a little clouded. So I'm going to say Detroit wins Game 2 against Orlando.
Okay.
And covers whatever spread there is.
Boy, if they don't, Rich, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're the number 1 seed, but Orlando's a talented team. Orlando's not an 8 seed. Orlando's about a 4 seed. Yeah. Because Boston wasn't supposed to be that high. Yeah. Boston wasn't supposed to be the 2 seed. They were supposed to be struggling this year with all the injuries, and they've shown otherwise. So, yeah, I can see that. But yeah, Detroit, they got to win. And that's just for our buddy Matt Geller out there. So,
sorry, Matt.
Yeah, sorry about that. But we see what Detroit can pull off this next game.
I think they get back into the win column, and it's been a long time. 11 straight playoff games. Oof.
Yeah.
All right, time for what's bugging me. You kind of teased it a little bit. I teased it a little bit earlier. Go ahead.
Draft.
Yep.
So I've been a little nostalgic. You heard me earlier. I'm talking about 70s basketball and 86 Mets. I've been saying all this different stuff all day, but nostalgically, I think about this all the time. I will tell you this: one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life was not copywriting the word draft party.
Oh, okay.
I was doing draft parties in 1984-ish, maybe even more than that. 83 with way back in the day. Okay, we were all about the draft even then, and it really wasn't. You were where you could watch most of it. It was just like, it was weird, right, to watch, but we loved the draft, and the idea of having the draft starting at noon on Saturday and ending sometime on Sunday, and almost feel like it was a 48-hour event.
And wasn't it 12 rounds back then, John?
Well, back in those days, but after time, as they chopped it down, it still was. It was, to me, it ranked. It was so good when it was when it was from noon on Saturday to 10 o'clock on Sunday night. We used to get together. I mean, buddies of mine, and we spent weekends just eating everything. We didn't nonstop eating, watching stuff, having boards and writing things down. And for teams, and your team, people came to my house with folders and you name it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Everybody was wearing their team gear, and you couldn't wait for. And what you waited for was more fun. You might have 20 guys in the house, and their favorite team was, maybe there was 10 different teams that people were rooting for, and watching that guy wait for his draft pick to come in. And when it was bad, it was glorious. You're like, oh! And of course, nobody got it worse than me.
Of course, being a Jets fan. Of course. And the tradition continues.
Jeff Lageman. That's all I got to say to you. Right? Yes. I had a buddy of mine who's a big. We'll talk the draft. He'll call me on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, you name it, the whole time. He's a Steelers fan. And one time they drafted big tight end out of Liberty University. I can't remember, but he ended up being an all-pro. I can't remember his name right now. But they were showing his highlight reel, and my buddy's like, look, he just ran by a corn silo. That's my guy. It was phenomenal. And it was the best time. Everybody, it was so great. It was so good. Theater, TV, you name everything about it was so great. And then they freaking ruined it by busting out the first round on a Thursday. Of 8 o'clock on a Thursday. When your team's getting their next best player they're going to get, you're going to watch it on a Thursday night and try to stay awake. It's the first round of the draft. It used to take 6 hours to do the first round. Now they run through it in 3, and it's not the same. And the next night, it's not the same when it's only 2 and 3. It's just not the same. It's the parties doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't exist. And unfortunately, they're never going to go back. There's too much money involved.
I was just going to say.
Sponsorships involved. And now it's like they moved it all over the place. So it's not in some hotel in New York anymore. It's going to be in Pittsburgh. It's going to be huge, huge.
Some hotel.
Yes.
Some hotel was the Marriott Marquis.
Yeah, the Marriott Marquis.
Where I worked.
Oh, nice.
On that Saturday, I was an assisting housekeeping manager. I get the boards for the girls. I hand them to them. And I told them I'd be on the 6th floor watching the draft. Them rooms better be perfect.
Right.
Perfect. Because I wasn't inspecting anything those days. I was standing in the back of the ballroom on the 6th floor of the Marriott Marquis watching the NFL draft in both 1990 and 1991.
That's phenomenal. And that's what I'm saying. It's so think about this. It was so good, Rich. It was so good that it spawned so much different. I'm going to tell you, it made the NFL better. The NFL, that was, some things happen out of pure luck. And that was a pure luck. Hitting on a quirky guy like Mel Kiper, okay? To be the guy who knows everybody's name, everything about them. He's a savant, okay? He invented this thing, helped invent this idea of what it was. It's as big as day to most people as the Super Bowl is, because only two fan bases are rooting for or have some stake in it. Everybody's got a stake in the draft. Everybody has something into it. It spawned fantasy sports.
Correct.
It spawned it. It all came from this because everybody wanted to be a GM. Everybody could be a GM now. And you're saying like, wow, how great was that? It was beyond great, Rich, beyond great. And they made a lot of money. I'm not knocking about it, but they ruined it. And it's ruined forever. And it's sad that it is. And it every time this year I think about it, it just annoys me that I'm not buying out the Doritos aisle at Publix. I'm not ordering catering food. I'm not seeing how many guys are spending the night so we can have it all. I was married, and my wife would say, "Who's staying?" I'm like, "Only 3 of them this year," you know. And one real quick thing. One of our friends got in trouble, and he was in jail.
What?
For about a month. And
holy crap!
Listen, we're at my house. My wife, we made sausage and peppers. We had all kinds of food. It was Saturday of the draft, and I see a guy on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, I'll ask." And so they said, "Hey, is it right if so and so comes over?" I'm like, "Isn't he in jail?" He's like, "No, he just got out." The first place he was going was to the draft party that night. It was hysterical, and that's what it was. Everybody, hey, I'm out of jail. I'm going to Massoni's house for the draft. So it was pure. It was the best. It really was, and it's never going to be the same again. But I get
no, it's not. No, it's not. It's definitely, and there's a few more than a few 100,000 people watching as well, which was back then. God, see, I should have went first. Mine's boring compared to yours. Mine what's bugging me. I mean, it's mine. What's bugging me is how they stretch the NBA playoffs. I mean, it's unbelievable. The NHL, one night on, one night off, one night on, one. The only thing this year, there's a couple of arena availability issues. One is in Montreal. The Lightning and Canadians, after Game 2, they're going to have 2 nights off because the arena was not available on Thursday, so they're doing Friday, Sunday instead of Thursday, Saturday when they're when there's arena availability. But for the most part, the NHL, boom, they keep playing. The NBA, and listen, they paid $76 billion for their damn TV deal over 11 years, so they have the right to put the games whenever they want. And they want 4 games every Saturday, and they want 4 games every Sunday until we get to the point where we don't have that many teams remaining.
Right.
And the way you do it, you stretch series out. The Orlando-Detroit series is a perfect example. They played Sunday. They don't play again until Wednesday, and then they don't play again until Saturday. So in the span of 6 days, they will have played, actually 7 days, they will have played a grand total of 3 games.
Right.
And that's why the finals are in June, and it just drives. It's a 2-month, it's just a battle of attrition. And you got no rhythm. You got no, I know tonight there are going to be 3 NHL games. I know tomorrow night there are going to be 3 NHL games. They're going to keep playing. And again, the only thing that's going to be a problem is arena availability. Other than that, they play every other day.
Think about this, what you just said about rhythm. That's what I was thinking the same way. Orlando just won. They got momentum. Not anymore.
No, because now Detroit has 2 days to, they could literally break down the film frontwards, sideways, backwards, and
talking about golf,
like you said.
Could you imagine the Masters, and they play 1 round on Thursday, or 1 round on Tuesday, 1 round on Thursday, maybe something on Saturday, and then how do you stay in rhythm of doing anything? You can't.
Right.
You really can't.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it every year. It's long enough. It's got to be two months no matter what. But you got to stretch it out like this artificially.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I totally agree.
Totally gross. So there you have it. But mine's not nearly as exciting as yours. And I love it because I got to be a part of your What's Bugging Me, because I used to get paid to watch the NFL draft. Got paid.
And I think that a lot of the fact of
I mentioned earlier that it was like about how it spawned the fantasy sports thing.
Yep.
What we're doing right now, Rich, is what the draft created.
Yep.
Everybody can talk about, we can talk about the games, but sometimes what podcasting to me is like nuances of the game or nuances of the league or what's going on with certain things. We can sit there, like you want to do a rundown, you can just go like, okay, so-and-so won, so-and-so won, so-and-so lost, this is that, somebody got traded, boom, done. That's 15 minutes. An hour and 37 minutes is that. It's knowing knowing about the teams, knowing about everybody. And it's funny because even back then, the fan bases, okay, the people that I watched sports with, the guys who I thought were they don't pay too much. They knew more about their teams than they do now. Now they know. Now, granted, they know statistics and certain things because that's a fantasy sports thing. But knowing about the teams and having we have rules about, we want to watch the draft. Know what you probably can tell me. Name 2 positions you don't draft besides kicker and punter in the first round.
You're asking me?
Yeah, not kicker or punter, but name 2 positions. That's one of them. It could be. Yeah. Who else?
Wow.
Fullback.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't even consider fullback a position anymore.
Right, but
only 4 or 5 teams have them.
Absolutely, right? But how about how many times are you going out and trying to get a guard in the first round? Okay,
yeah, that's true.
Nothing wrong with a guard, but it's, a lot of times guards are just tackles that got moved that had good feet. They got moved down to the guard position, and they're 3rd round tackles taken to be guards. The idea, though, and then of course, like a punter and a kicker, you would think probably not in those situations as well. Not because because it's not worth spending that money on something like that. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But you know that because you watch the draft. You understand value of a player. You understand why are there going to be 8 guys that are rush ends are going to be taken in the first round? Because that's what you need. You need to put. That's exactly why is only 1 running back going to get drafted? because you can
Well,
find a
that's
guy in
running.
the
You could
fourth
say
round.
running back even. You don't have to keep it to fullback. You could say running backs drafted in the first round.
So that's all stuff that we learned.
Yep.
I say we into the whole sports world. If you followed it, you learned that that's how it works. You understand how it works, and that's what was so great about it. It just, like I said, and everybody wanted to catch a piece of what was going on, and man, you couldn't wait for that draft pick. And God, when there's a bad draft pick, it's the best thing ever. And somebody craps, and I'm talking about my team did it a lot, or still.
Oh, your team is notorious for it.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it's going to happen again.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing. When it happens, it's like, wow, okay. And then watching GMs and different guys try to explain why they did it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because once it's done, and the court of public opinion comes out, that guy better be an all-pro, because if he's not, they're going to get shredded over that, just shredded.
Absolutely. All right, that'll do it. Another 941 Sports Zone in the books. Another hour, 40-minute show. I thought this week was going to be like an hour 10, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Nope. You never know. Absolutely. All right. So next week we will continue to follow the baseball teams of the 941 in the playoffs. We might even have a Kentucky Derby guest, maybe to give you and this, if I get the guy I want to get, he's given out the winner 3 of the last 4 times that I've had him on my show. And we're not talking about the horses that are 5-2 either. They paid.
Right.
So,
anyway, Kentucky Derby is something that's so cool, and everybody's. If you're not doing it through the avenues that we all know about, you're betting on it at some watch party, and that's what's always fun about it. So it's always good.
Yep. All right, John. WrestleMania 42 Missoni off the top rope all show long. Damn, I should have said that earlier. Anyway, appreciate it. We'll be back again next week. Don't forget, like us on YouTube, follow us. We're on Facebook. We're on the artist formerly known as Twitter, now X, Instagram. We post the show everywhere. Like it, subscribe, and give us your opinion. We'd like that very much. All right, for John, I'm Spitz. We're out of here. Till next week. So long, everybody.
See ya.